What's up, YouTube? So before we get started with this video, on First Take, they're going to talk about is the Toronto Raptors Championship tainted because Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson were injured. So let's see what they have to say about that.
True or not, because when the injury happened to Klay, I was right behind the bench, and then I walked back in and went to the media room, etc. But I heard, because Klay walked up and he had to be carried out.
Yeah.
Then he walked in the hallway and he was trying to, run it off. And you heard, somebody said you heard his father screaming, Michael Thompson. Did you hear pop? Did you hear pop?
Yeah.
The reason I bring that up is that not just a champion, but a dad. You don't get to hustle that around and just do what you want to do. Dad wasn't having it. You ain't playing. You see what I'm saying?
Dad is much more nervous for his son's games than his own. No question.
So you're not playing that. So I'm only bringing that up to say sometimes, we see folks with these players and we're wishing who was there. It's one of those moments where you can applaud the fact that Michael Thompson was there, because who knows what, and I'm not saying the Warriors would have done anything wrong. I'm just saying you got to applaud the fact that Pops was there to say, that ain't happening.
How
about
Pops was there to...
So I do agree. Actually, first off, I want to say congratulations to the Toronto Raptors. You guys beat the Golden State Warriors fair and square, and I don't want to hear any excuses of why the Golden State Warriors lost. I don't care who was hurt or what was going on. The fact is the Toronto Raptors beat the Golden State Warriors, and now they're champions. I don't want to hear any excuses of this or that or this or that. The fact is the Toronto Raptors, they did what they had to do. They took care of business at home and at Oakland to win a title, and that's all that really needs to be said. Everybody wants to talk about splitting hairs and get technical and who was playing and who they didn't play. We can talk about that a little bit later. But at this point in time, it's the Toronto Raptors time. They did what they had to do, and now they're the champions. And I don't want to hear any excuses. So with that said, as far as Klay Thompson being hurt, I don't think the Golden State Warriors would send him back out there if he was hurt enough that he shouldn't be playing. And I don't think he would have gone out there if he didn't himself feel that it was okay for him to go on out. And obviously his dad's there, so he's going to be his dad first and whatever else later. So his dad was definitely concerned about him. And again, I don't think the Golden State Warriors would let Klay Thompson go back out there if it wasn't okay, and especially if Klay didn't want to go back out there. So let's keep going.
Needs him to have the kind of heart where you need someone to stop him from playing.
Absolutely.
Because Klay's not trying to miss.
But Dad wasn't having it.
Talk about good genes, and they got the brother playing baseball too as well. All right, let's stay focused here though, Max. And I'm looking at you for this one. So I mentioned what the Raptors pulled off, but obviously KD goes down, Klay goes down. Do you feel like this title's somewhat tarnished based on that?
Yeah. I mean, look, you can't have it both ways. Yes, I can. On the one hand, I think, look, the Raptors won the championship. That's true. That's great. I thought they would win once KD went down, right? That to me doesn't tarnish anything. What tarnishes championships is the fact that KD joined the Warriors. That's a bad look for KD and the Warriors.
So I don't understand. They're talking about if Kevin Durant and if Klay Thompson weren't hurt, does that affect the Toronto Raptors winning the championship? I don't know why. Why would Max go to they're affected by Kevin Durant joining a 7-3 win team? Why would that even come up? How is that even connected? We're talking about what happened this year in the finals this year, not what happened 3 years ago when Kevin Durant came over to the Golden State Warriors. And I don't want to hear any excuses about why the Toronto Raptors beat the Golden State Warriors. I don't care who was hurt. They don't care who was hurt, because if it's the other way around, if the Golden State Warriors won and because the Toronto Raptors had a lot of injuries, I wouldn't care. Nobody would care. So it works both ways. I don't want to hear any excuses now. The Toronto Raptors beat them fair and square, and it doesn't matter what the excuses are. They're the champions. So leave it at that. But let's keep going.
So no, I don't understand.
Why you need all that?
No, I'm saying I was just confused. So is your answer yes or
He
no?
said yes.
I'm saying yes, it is tarnished.
Okay,
Yeah.
It is tarnished. Because I'm not talking about just the fact, if it's just KD, that's nothing, right? Because now it's a fair fight. It's not a fair fight when you got KD on a 73-win team. But then Klay got hurt. And it wasn't the first game that Klay missed. And when Klay got hurt, and by the way, I picked the Raptors to win in 6, but I have to be real about it. When Klay got hurt, he had 30 points on 12 shots and was just starting to feel himself. Think about that for a second. That heat check, right? Bow. Everything he touched went in. How do we know Klay doesn't wind up with 50 points? Because I tell you, Stephen A., you say 40. I've never seen a player in the history of the game get as hot as Klay, who once dropped 37 points in a single quarter, and in the same season, his second highest quarter, 28. So, like, yeah, do I think that the Raptors kind of lucked up in terms of health versus injuries on the Warriors? Yes, I do. I can't deny it. It's not just KD. It's also Klay. And clearly, the Raptors ain't beating a fully loaded Warriors team, and that's the truth.
So, do I think that the Golden State Warriors would have beat the Toronto Raptors if they had a full squad, if Kevin Durant wasn't hurt, if Klay Thompson wasn't hurt? Yeah, I do. And I'll bet that money. I'll bet that bet all day, every day. But guess what? That's not what happened. That's not what happened. There was no Kevin Durant. Klay Thompson was hurt, came back, then got hurt again. And that's just what it is. I don't want to take anything away from the Toronto Raptors because they did their part. They did their part by winning and balling out. And it wasn't just Kawhi, because some games Kawhi didn't play up to his standards of being Kawhi Leonard. So his supporting cast, Pascal Siakam, Marc Gasol, Van Fleet, those guys stepped it up and they did what they were supposed to do at home and at the Oracle. So I don't want to hear any excuses about this or that and who was playing and wasn't playing. They did their part. I don't want to cheat them. I don't want to make any excuses for them. I'm happy for them. Toronto got their first win, their first championship. They did what they're supposed to do, and that's it. And I don't want to hear any excuses. Maybe later on down the line, if you want to start splitting hairs, get technical, who was playing, who wasn't playing, that's fine. But at this point in time, like I said, Toronto Raptors, they beat the Golden State Warriors, and now they're champions. And there's nothing you can do to take away from that. So let's keep going.
The reality of the situation is that as valid as those points are, and for the most part, I agree with you, I cannot take credit away from the Toronto Raptors. And here's the reason why. They were a team. As great as Kawhi Leonard was, they were a team. Siakam, 26 and 10, 26 points, 10 rebounds last night. Kyle Lowry, 26 points, 10 assists last night. Fred VanVleet coming off the bench doing what he did. Serge Ibaka, 6 blocks one game, 20 points another, 15 points in a closeout game last night. So what are we looking at? Gasol didn't do much offensively, but defensively he did it. And not only that, offensively, there were a couple of games where he really, really showed up and made you respect him as a threat. And so when you look at it from that perspective, and then you look at Nick Nurse, the faux pas, the last 3 minutes, 28 seconds of Game 5 where he messed up. That was the only time he messed up. First 4 games, he didn't mess up. Right. Obviously, Game 6, he didn't mess up. Masai Ujiri, he assembled this team. When you look at the Toronto Raptors, what they said was, if you're going to compete for a championship, yes, you have to have a superstar. Yes, you have to have a closer. But you got to have cats around them that do their job. And once again, you keep being reminded. We've seen it in the years when the New York Knicks were playing and they had Patrick Ewing. I saw it with Allen Iverson in Philadelphia. You see it. Yes, you would prefer to have a multitude of stars. But really, if the real recipe for success is having a star surrounded by people who, A, know what their job description is, and B, have no problem doing it. You played in Boston. You had Paul Pierce. We all know who the truth was. Right. KG was no joke. Absolutely. Rondo was no joke. We know that Doc Rivers was an elite coach. Danny Ainge proved himself to be a stout executive. Kendrick Perkins had a role. Right. You went out there, and whatever your role was, you did your job. And you can never take credit away from a team when a collection of individuals come together and everyone knows their job and they got no problems with it. I give the Raptors a lot of credit for that.
I give the Raptors credit for that too. Congratulations to them. They did what they were supposed to do. Everybody played together as a team. Everybody played their role. And I don't want to take anything away from the Toronto Raptors. They absolutely balled out at home and at the Oracle. And I don't want to take anything away from them. I don't want to hear any excuses. Did I want the Golden State Warriors to win? Yes, I did. Do I think that if they had a full squad, nobody was hurt, they would have won? But guess what? That's not what happened. I got to deal with reality that the Toronto Raptors won. And for a whole year, Canada is going to be able to talk trash because they are the NBA champions for a whole year. And I got to live with that. And I don't have a problem because they beat Golden State fair and square. I have no problem with that. They're ballers. So enjoy it. Congratulations to the Toronto Raptors and Kawhi Leonard. You guys earned it. So let's keep going.
I agree with you. And no, it's not tarnished. And I agree with you. Each player on that team was a star in their role with the Raptors. And I'm going to take it all the way back to the summer. Great job by the front office of
Masai
Raptors.
Ujiri.
Yes, great job by him. He traded DeMar DeRozan and got Kawhi Leonard, which was people were saying, he don't know if he gonna come back. He took a gamble. All right, he fired Dwayne Casey, who was coach of the year. Right, he acquired Gasol in a trade, and what it means by that is that for Nick Nurse, his first year as a head coach, he made some moves that no other coach would have made. He ran a boxing one. He switched it up. This Raptors team had to go through a tough Philly team, a tough Milwaukee team, and come in and beat the champs. And no, you cannot take nothing away from this. They earned this championship from top to bottom, and I applaud them, man, because really, they did what they.
The only negative emotion I have, I feel so bad for Dwayne Casey, because Dwayne Casey had coached there, and he kept running into LeBron.
No.
But I do believe this. I personally believe this. If Dwayne Casey had Kawhi